Hi guys, I want to talk about truths you need to know before you marry a pastor. Marrying a pastor is work. Oh. I feel like saying it in pidgin English so it can sound weighty. Marrying a pastor now work. Oh. See me that is talking. As if somebody don't marry me. Alright, just in case you don't know, my name is OJIKIRE, popularly known as the Winners, and you are on my channel right now. You are better subscribed. Subscribe now. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can get notified with my videos. It inspires, it enlightens, and it grows you spiritually. That's why you need to subscribe and get notified by clicking on the notification bell. I'm watching you now. Don't be a watcher, be a subscriber. Alright, truths you need to know before you marry a pastor. Honestly, I never wanted to marry a pastor or become a pastor because it was a marriage years after I was ordained a pastor. But I never wanted to marry a pastor. How much more become one? It was not a dream. I never thought about it, never imagined it. But here I am, 11 years with a man of God. And a Geo for that matter. Alright, the first truth I need you to know if you desire marrying a pastor, you know that you need to know. Because I think I've met some ladies who want to marry a pastor, and that's a nice desire. It's good, but it was not my desire. But I'm now here with the desired, with your desire. Alright, so the first truth you need to know if you're going to marry a pastor is you must have a big heart to accommodate even the ones that will not like you. This one, you know, getting married to a pastor has taught me how to marry God more. Hey, I'm telling you, like, if you don't have a heart for God, you will not have a heart for the people. I'm telling you, if you don't love God, you cannot. Because people will offend you. people will so offend you terribly. Like, I don't think I've known so much of how to learn how to forgive than when I now married a pastor. Honestly. Like, I remember a situation where somebody sent a gift to my husband, cake, and then wrote strictly, like specifically, that this is specifically for Reverend Ois. And you know the amazing thing? It wasn't his birthday. So it was like one of those. So I'm like, why are you specifying? You know? And I'm wondering. So I saw it. I'm like, this is that's what the person wrote. I'm not joking. As in the time that the person used to even write it. Like, it was funny. I'm not supposed to eat from the cake. My husband doesn't really like cake. So anyway, you know the story. So I want to share it to everyone in the house. But I'm just saying that, like, when it could have gotten to me, as we might call it little. I don't know if it was little for you, but it was funny for me. And then a few days after, I'm going to meet this person who had to do this kind of behave in that manner, and I'm meeting the person. So what do you think I would naturally do as a person? Dislike the person, suspect the person, and all of that. What's your motive? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to cause division and all of that? And you see different kinds of people like that. But God taught me. God is teaching me. I won't say God. It's not something that I'm perfect in, but as I kept on growing in being married to a pastor, God, through the help of God, my heart is enlarging towards people. Because most times when we talk about you need to accommodate people, you think it's just about the people you love. Even the people that don't love you, you will need to accommodate them. The people you also don't love. Yes, why we have to love on everyone as Christ taught us. But truth, there are people you will not really be open-minded towards. There are people you will not be able to accommodate. Probably because you may not really be comfortable with them. You don't really like them in your space. But you will need to love them. You need to have a big heart to accommodate both the people that don't love you and the people you honestly don't love. You know, that's why you need God to be able to create that kind of heart to accommodate people. Number two, the second truth you need to know before you marry a pastor is know his ministry expectations for you. There are some pastors that when they marry their wife, they want their wife to remain a wife, nothing. She shouldn't be synced with their call. She shouldn't function with the pastor. There are pastors like that, and it's not bad. That's why you need to ask. If you're going to marry a pastor, ask his expectations. What does he want from you? You know, there are also some pastors that don't mind. For example, if you're musically inclined, you want to function in the choir. They don't mind you being there, you know, But there are some pastors that don't want that, Once they get married, they want you to sit in front with them. They want you to host women's conference. They want you to be in charge of children's department. Whatever be it, make sure that you know what he expects from you. There are some pastors also that do not want their wife to check in with them administratively. When they call for meetings, they have their pastors. That's not pastors who don't believe in female ministry. They do not want, just because you are a woman, they don't want you to be out there. Please observe these expectations, investigate these expectations. Investigate means ask questions, design his expectations. Especially this particular point I mentioned, there are pastors who don't want their wives to be out there. There are pastors who don't believe that females should be ordained as pastors in ministry. This other ministry expectation is very deep. You need to observe it. You need to decide. You need to ask questions. It's very important. Also, in line with ministry expectations, you need to ask him, how does he want you to dress as a pastor's wife? The pastors that don't like trousers, not anything with doctrine of the church. It's just them. That people who just have that thing for trousers. They don't like you wearing trousers on the pulpit, on the altar. They don't like you wearing trousers out. You need to ask those questions. There's a certain way they want you to dress. You need to ask. Should you have your top long covered? You have long dress and everything. So you need to ask so that you can know how to behave. Because trust me, there are many pastors who do not like the way their wife dress, but they are scared to communicate that. They might even feel that, if they talk about it, they can have issues with their partner. So you need to know. And this is something you need to ask before you get married. Why am I saying this? Because by the time you get married, the man begins to tell you how to dress in a certain way and all of that, and you just realize that you're no longer compatible as companions. And once compatibility is lost, companionship is lost totally. So you need to begin to ask, how do you want me to dress? Let me give a story. Let me give a background story. When I got married to my husband wasn't the GO. We didn't have our church then. So I got married to him as a pastor in a particular church, which I would not mention, it's a popular church. And when he was pastor in church, the doctrine of the church is you don't wear trousers at all. Now, your husband can have that as a church doctrine, but not his personal doctrine. So at the time me and my husband were courting, I was used to wearing trousers. I would always wear. I'm more of a trouser person than a gown person. I know you're shocked because you see me on gowns always, right? I'm always on trouser a lot of the times. You can hardly find me on skirts when I was single. You can hardly find me wearing gowns. I wear gowns, but I love wearing trousers. I wear gowns, but trouser is my go-to-go anytime, and I like being on casual. So when I was going to get married to him, he was pastoring a particular church. And I realized that his mentors and all of that, they told me, of course, this is a church doctrine and all of that. But my husband, he told me, he didn't force me into anything. He just told me that, you already know my personal doctrine, my personal rule. I'm not against trouser. But you see, when you are in Rome, you have to behave like the Roman. So in other words, he had to talk me into it without forcing me. Some pastors force their wife into something that sometimes they don't even understand. So he had to talk to me without forcing me. But one of the things I realized in our conversation is that is a church doctrine doesn't mean it's a personal doctrine. And when something is not personal, when something is personal to your husband, he now has expectations. When something is not personal to him, he may not necessarily have expectation from you, even though he may have because of the ministry stake. So what I'm saying in all of these my statements is know what is personal to your husband and what is church, what is ministry, what is ministerial doctrine, and what is personal doctrine. Now, whatever be it, whether it's personal or ministerial, understand what your partner expects from you regarding your dress sense. It's very important so that you don't want to buy plenty things and you're like, hey, this is why I'll be dressing as a mama consigned. You meet the opposite. Ask questions, please. Then the fourth one is why he may be a covering for you and others in the church. Know that you need to cover him up in prayers. Don't think that because he's covering people up in prayers, he's always praying 24/7. You have to be a covering for him. In fact, let me tell you something. If you are going to get married to a pastor, you have more work. Being married to a husband is already work. Then married to a pastor is work. I'm telling you. You have to cover him up in prayers. You have to cover up yourself in prayers because why? You are exposed to more attacks being married to a pastor, a man of God. I'm telling you. Because you are out there doing things, that the devil will fight. You are winning souls to Christ. You are preaching to the people. You are praying for the people. So you are already automatically exposed to attacks. The devil don't like you at all. If the devil don't like your marriage, when you are now in ministry, you are married to a man of God, the devil don't like you at all. The devil, your hatred is on the increase. And that is why why he covers you and the people that are his flock. You must deliberate intentionally be covered up. That's why if you're not a prayerful person now, you're thinking of getting married to a pastor. Maybe you're thinking of getting married to a pastor because you like the fame, you like being called first lady. You know, they carry your bag, protocol. Hey, if you don't know protocol in the spirits, hey, you'll be protocoled out. Hey, carry your bag, carry your iPad. Oh, mama, God bless you, mama. Oh, mama, please. You like kids. They serve you, so you love all those things. If that is your motive for marrying a pastor, you're already on your way to destruction. Because if you're not prayerful, if you don't have a relationship with the Holy Spirit and you want to marry a pastor, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated many times. And that is why you must be covering yourself up in prayers and covering up. That's why you who is dying to marry a pastor. It's very important that you begin to build capacity now so that you can draw from your archive and also draw freshly in prayers. It's very important because marrying a pastor is more work. It's work. Thank you very much for watching. This is dedicated strictly to people who desire to marry pastors. So please do well to comment, do well to ask questions, and I look forward to reading your comments. I look forward to answering your question. And if you have any other things, suggested topics you want me to talk about, please do well to drop it on the comment section. I love you. I love you. Bye. Subscribe. Don't go away. Subscribe. Bye.